like any other ballot that's received in our elections. And so those are the 4 ways to vote. I'm sure you all have a lot of questions, so I'll kick it back over.
You can unmute yourself and ask any questions you want. Does anyone have any questions? So we can vote in person, correct? The polls will be open. Do you know where the locations will be? Will it be at our normal polling location?
Well, under our agreement between the governor and me, we don't think that we have all the answers of knowing every location where people ought to be voting, and we've delegated that to the clerks to make those decisions for their own counties, and then provide that information to the State Board of Elections for them to review it and approve it. So far, the board has not reviewed. I think they've reviewed, but they've not approved any specific plans. I think they'll be doing that in the next few days, so everyone can have clarity. So I don't personally have all the locations. Those are still being decided and approved. I'm sure Tony would like to speak to that.
Yeah, I can speak on that matter. What we have chosen, the board, the Laurel County Board of Elections, we've got 2 locations, North Laurel High School and South Laurel High School gymnasiums. Those are going to be the 2 voting locations in Laurel County for Election Day. We fortunately, we worked with, I've worked with the fiscal court, David Westerfield, Judge Executive and Fiscal Court. We actually purchased more of the express vote machines for our county to help with the traffic control in these locations. So you will have the option of, you could vote on a machine or by paper ballot as well in these locations on June 23rd. So we do have 2 locations. I know some counties only have 1 location. So, you know, fortunately, we're going to have 2 locations opened up for Laurel County that day.
Okay, so Tony, if you're in North District, do you go to North High School or South District? Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. It's like a voting center. It doesn't matter where you live. You can pick one of those 2 locations.
Great. Okay.
Can I chime in just real fast on that? I want to explain to folks why we have so few voting locations. One criticism of what we're doing, it's very reasonable, is, well, look, we're trying to avoid crowds. Why do you have fewer voting locations? You should have more voting locations. And in theory, that's absolutely right. But in practice, it's not workable. The reason we're having to do it the way we're doing it is we don't have enough poll workers. We don't have enough polling locations, and we don't have enough PPE. The deadline to appoint poll workers was March 20th. Yep. We extended it to April 24th. Then we extended it again to May 15th. Guess what? People don't want to volunteer to be poll workers. Most of our poll workers are elderly. They're the people who are most at risk from this virus. I testified in the legislature last year before I was Secretary of State that we had a poll worker crisis already, getting enough people to be poll workers. It's just not an environment where we can find 15,000 volunteers. Even if they volunteered, I don't know how I'd feel about subjecting them to risks that are unnecessary. So we didn't have enough poll workers. We also didn't have enough PPE. We're in competition with restaurants and retail businesses that are trying to reopen so we can get our economy back on track. We're all in competition for PPE. We also didn't have enough locations volunteering and risking the liability they would face in order to open themselves to being a voting location. They get paid very little rent for that. It's a big potential cost for them for not much benefit. So a lot of our voting locations just simply canceled on us. So that's the reason we have fewer locations. It's also the reason that we're encouraging people, if they can vote absentee, to vote absentee. If you go to govoteky.com, that's the easiest way for you to get an absentee ballot. You have to prove your identity. Again, we're not just mailing out ballots to the phone book. You have to prove who you are. There's a mechanism for that. You can also call or email our Fact County clerk, but obviously they're under the gun with all they have to do to prepare for this election, plus all their other responsibilities they have as clerks. And their offices are closed. They have people out in many cases. So let's try to ease the burden on our county clerks by using the website, govoteky.com. You go to this website, you got to show your date of birth and your social security number, verify your name and your address and your party registration, because this is a primary election. And then if you provide that to us, it takes about 2 minutes. It's pretty efficient. Then we can send a ballot out to you. That ballot is tracked. We've got barcodes on these, so we can track the ones that are issued and track their process in the system, and whether they're returned or not, we can watch for irregularities and abnormalities. It makes it impossible to stuff a ballot box or to steal an election by mail. Just today, just a few hours ago, I announced a task force with Attorney General Daniel Cameron. He and I are going to co-chair a ballot integrity task force. We've got the FBI, Homeland Security, the Postal Service, federal prosecutors, the Kentucky State Police, all working with us, watching for ballot fraud. We get it. This is a different way of voting, and we may see people try to take advantage of that, but we're going to actually make it even harder to cheat than it was before. So we're very proud of that. It is a little bit inconvenient to apply for a ballot, but it's more convenient than standing in line for 5 or 6 hours on election day, which is what you may be subjected to if you insist on voting in person and you don't need to. If you don't mind, you got the time to kill, I understand, but if you're able to relieve the pressure on other people who may be disabled or elderly and show up on election day and are out in the hot sun for 5 or 6 hours in line, we do ask people if they can be considerate to please be considerate and vote absentee. It's very quick and easy, and also very secure and safe.
Secretary Adams, when we do go vote online at govoteky.com, is there a time limit? Can you vote up until election day, or do the polls close at 6 and that's when you have to have your vote in?
Well, first of all, no one is voting online. Govoteky.com is a website to apply for an absentee ballot. We don't do voting online in Kentucky. It's been tried actually in Washington State. They tried it many years ago. They didn't like it. They didn't think it was secure enough. I came out against it when I ran for this office. We're not going to have any online voting while I'm Secretary of State, but we do use this secure portal. We got this idea from other red states that are doing the same thing we're doing. What we're doing is actually the most conservative approach to elections that any state in the country has right now during coronavirus. Every state that's voted from mid-March forward has done what we're doing, or a more left-leaning or centrist version of it, even the red states with Republican secretaries of state. So we've got these controls in place, but this website is not to vote, it's to request your absentee ballot. And that's just one of the ways to vote, of course. But I just want to caution everybody, your vote is secure and safe and secret. That's required by our Constitution. No one knows who you voted for. You get mailed a ballot envelope with 3 layers in it. You've got the actual ballot. You seal that into an envelope. It's an inner envelope, and then you sign that inner envelope, and we match your signature to your signature of record on your driver's license that we have on file, or another signature you provide us. We match those signatures on every single ballot to make sure you're not cheating. And then you put that into yet another envelope with postage prepaid on it and send that back to us or hand deliver it. So we do have controls in place to ensure ballot integrity, but also secrecy of the ballot.
I want to add to that too. For people in Laurel County, I've spoken to the post office. They are not sending any ballots to Knoxville. Our mail goes in and out of Knoxville to London. All Laurel County ballots that come into the London post office will go directly to the voter, and when the voter sends it back in, it will go to the post office and directly back to the office. If and like I said, if you don't like using the mail in that fashion, you can bring it up to the office and put it in the Dropbox.
Where's the Dropbox located, Tony? Is it inside your office?
Yes, it is inside and it has to be inside the office where we can watch and view the ballot being put in, and make sure somebody's not coming in and just dumping ballots in, which I don't think anybody would do, but it is under constant view.
Okay.
Yeah, let me clarify that. The drop boxes, you can't just walk up with a bunch of slips of paper that say Joe Smith for Congress and dump them in the box. They won't be counted. They'll be thrown in the garbage. It's got to be an official ballot.
Yeah.
These are being tracked. It's impossible to stuff a ballot box under this system.
That's great. That's great. Just trying to get all the questions out there
You bet.
under control.
think
Does
Kay had a
anyone else have
question.
any more? Pardon me?
I think Kay had a question. She's been raising her hand.
Oh,
I do.
sorry.
Hey there.
Okay, something I'm confused on. We got online and requested our ballots. We thought we were going to get the actual ballots, but we got the application. Is that how it's going to work?
Did you use the website?
Yes.
You may use the website, our website before, K. The new portal opened up Friday night.
Okay.
There's a new portal. It's totally different now.
Okay. Okay. So the new ones, they'll get the ballot, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's right. GoVoteKY.com actually is the application. That will save people a step.
Okay, that's what I thought, but then we got
right.
that and I was confused. So, okay, the new one from here on out, though, I guess.
That's
they'll
exactly
actually
right.
get the ballot. Okay.
Yeah, the normal
Till
process
June
by-
15th.
Right.
Yeah, the
Okay.
normal process by law is you have to request the application and get mailed that and send it back, and then request the ballot. It's complicated and we're running out of time, and so we wanted to make it very
Right.
efficient if we could. So GoVoteKY.com, that's your application. It saves you a step, saves you several days of mail back and forth. I do want to encourage people, first of all, to use GoVoteKY.com and take the burden off of your clerks, take the burden off of our poll workers and our other voters. That's the easiest and simplest way to exercise your franchise. I also want to encourage voters to do it as quickly as possible. You got a right to wait until election day to mail it back if you choose, but we'd rather you don't for this reason. Our clerks are going to be under the gun to get all these ballots processed. They're going to get so many more hand-delivered and mailed in that normally would just be cast on machines. And so in order for us to quickly count these ballots and pronounce the results and give the candidates clarity on how well they did, it would help us immensely if people get their ballots back sooner instead of later. If everybody waits until the last minute, it's going to take a week to count all these ballots.
Very good.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you so much. Does anyone else have any more questions for Secretary Adams?
Just to be a little more specific here, if you can't access GoVoteKY, and if you want to get like an absentee ballot, just contact the county clerk's office, correct?
That's right. All the tradition, and let me remind folks, absentee voting is actually in our state constitution. It's not something that I invented. It's been in our laws for decades. Our clerks like Tony have been processing absentee ballots for a long, long time. It's actually in our constitution. It's a right. So we left in place all the usual ways to get an absentee ballot. We didn't restrict any method. The law already provides for email or fax or in person or phone to the county clerk, and those methods all still work, but it's going to be a lot more efficient for the voter and also for the clerk if the voter is able to go online and request it. That's just a more efficient way to do it. These clerks, their phones are ringing off the hook. Their emails are exploding to the degree, disagree with me if you want to, Tony.
No, you're fine.
So we're trying to be considerate and respectful if we can. Again, we haven't taken anyone's rights away, but the most efficient way for a voter to get this done and move on is to go to the website, govoteky.com.
And if you're using like a public network to access the website, like the library, how can people rest assured that their data, their information isn't getting taken when they register to vote?
Well, the registration deadline to vote for the primary closed on Tuesday, May 26th at 4 p.m. So unfortunately, it's too late to register to vote. But the information that we are asking for, we don't maintain it. I don't even see it. It goes direct to the clerk's offices. The clerks have already got this information. They've already got the voter file. We've not had a single case that I'm aware of, and I'm pretty aware of election litigation history in our state. I've never seen a single case where any of our clerks' employees have abused that information for identity theft. These folks already have that information. That's why we're requesting it, is so that the clerks can actually verify the information and ensure that the person who is asking for the ballot is the person who should be getting the ballot. So I do trust our clerks and have total confidence in them. But back to your point more directly, if you're in a public library, I can't speak to what protocols they have in place on their internet terminals. So once you use the website, you probably want to close that browser to make sure someone doesn't come in and have the site still open and be able to take some information from it.
Does anyone else have any more questions? All right. Well, thank you very much, Secretary of State Michael Adams. We really appreciate your time today and appreciate the information going out. We will forward this out to all of our chamber members and put it on our Facebook page so they can watch this video and know how to vote. So it's a new day and time, isn't it?
It sure is. I want to thank you all for doing this. As I said, it's hard to get this information out to people. It's important. I don't want anyone to be disenfranchised, and I want them to know their rights. And I'm very grateful to y'all for doing this. I look forward to coming back to Laurel County someday as soon as I can. It's been so frustrating engaged up in the Capitol. I really want to get out and see people again. So I'm sure very soon I'll get to see you all in person.
Very good, very good. And Tony, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate your information and your leadership in the voting. So.
Well, you're welcome. We're trying to make it as painless as possible, but
Yeah.
you know, we're doing all we can.
Yes, we all need to be patient, wear our mask, and just we're going to get through this, right?
There you go.
God bless you. God bless you, Secretary of State, and all of our county clerks.
Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you all so much. Thank you for your time, and we'll talk soon.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.